And there's times that we thought about this morning that when the fog seems to come down, when you look out and you can't see the wood from the trees, you feel like you're about on the edge of a precipice and you're about to slip down a hill. You feel so fragile that sometimes Habakkuk says if we turn to God and rejoice in Him, we're like this deer that's never going to slip. We are absolutely secure. We're untouchable because of our salvation. I've read a book a couple of years ago, probably one of the best books I've ever read. It was a book called Unbroken. Has anyone read that book or seen the film? No, hugely recommend it. It's a life story, a true story of a chap called Louis Zamprini. He was an Olympic runner, and then it was in the time of the Second World War, and he's drafted into the American Air Force. And as he's on a flying mission, his plane fails and he's plunged into the sea. And he spends 47 days at sea. There's 3 of them, and the 47 days at sea on a little blow-up life raft in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. They kind of, at one point, a Japanese plane comes over and shoots some holes in the life raft. At other points, he's attacked by sharks. There's 3 on there, only 2 of them survive. But after 47 days, they wash up on a Pacific island, and eventually, after another couple of years, they end up back in America with a family, sat in a restaurant, enjoying nice food. And as he describes the ordeal on the boat, it sounds horrific, the despair that they went through. You know, they're constantly fighting against this thought that their grave is going to be the bottom of the ocean, that they're just not going to make it. And I wondered, as I've thought back at that, and in light of our trials, what it would be like for them if they knew they were going to be rescued. If they knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that no matter what came at them, there was going to be a day when they were back in America eating food in a nice restaurant with their family. Would it have changed their experience on board that raft at all? I think it would. It would have still been painful. The hunger pangs would have still been there. The sun would have still been beating down on them. But I wonder if they knew that without a shadow of a doubt they were going to be saved, they were going to be home one day. Would it have made the ordeal a little bit more endurable? I think it probably would, because they would have in those hard times taken joy in the fact that this wasn't going to be the end of them, that they were going to make it through and they were going to make it home. And that's really why our salvation gives us such security, such sure-footedness. We know that whatever comes at us in this world, whatever hardships we face, we know that nothing can stop us making it home. We know that one day we are going to be with Him, that whether we live or whether we die, as it says in Thessalonians, we will live with Him. Nothing can change that. It's unshakable. No financial collapse can change that. No difficult relationships can change that. No pain that we go through in this world can change the fact that whether we live or we die, we will live with Him. And that doesn't maybe take the pain away of what we're going through now, but it does give us security. It does give us a firm foundation for joy that can never change. Just again from the book of Hebrews in chapter 10. These first century believers that this letter's written to were going through difficult times. In fact, what has been normal for us as Christians to have freedom to meet like this, freedom to speak about Jesus, has not really been normal for most Christians throughout history. Most Christians have suffered greatly and been marginalised and oppressed and persecuted, and the people who this letter to the Hebrews went to, they were the same. In Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 32, we read this: "But recall the former days when after you were enlightened, you endured a hard struggle with sufferings, sometimes being publicly exposed to reproach and affliction, and sometimes being partners with those so treated. For you had compassion on those in prison, and you joyfully accepted the plundering of your property, since you knew that you yourselves had a better possession and an abiding one. Therefore do not throw away your confidence, which has great reward. For you have need of endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what is promised. For yet a little while, and the coming one will come, and he will not delay, but my righteous one shall live by faith. If he shrinks back, my soul has no pleasure in him. But we are not those who shrink back and are destroyed, but are those who have faith and persevere. And I suggest this evening that if we're going to be those who have faith and persevere, that even maybe as in future days things get difficult, maybe further marginalisation, maybe even, I don't know, persecution. If we're going to be those who are going to persevere, we have to have our joy sunk deep down in the Lord and not in the things of this world. They joyfully accepted the confiscation of their possessions because they knew they had something better. And that's the fight that we all face, this fight to rejoice in the Lord, to primarily have our joy in him and not his blessings. So I guess the question that I want to leave with you at the end of this weekend is, where is your joy? Where do you find your delight and satisfaction? Is it really in the Lord and his salvation? Or is it too much in the things of this world? That's the challenge I leave with you as we close.